People, deluded. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2. Chelsea snatch it in the second half. And that result, or that game for me, it sums up how we've been this season. It sums up how cruel football is, man. But on the positives, if we play like how we did in the first half, we're not going to get relegated and we'll stay up, people. Obviously, we end the year with another defeat like last year, I believe. It is what it is. There are some positives. If we can take the positives and learn from our mistakes in this game, whether they were individual mistakes or collective mistakes, like for the first and second, respectively, you should be able to play better against Manchester United. And saying that United is going to be a tough game, they found a bit of form in their last 2 games. It is what it is. Specific to this game, I'm not going to lie, people. Listen, there's some positives, there's some negatives. There were some points that in that game, in the second half, that kind of show why we're here as a football club. There were some positives. So I don't think it's a game to really be down in the dumps and whatnot. Obviously, it sucks. It's a bittersweet taste. In fact, it is just bitter because all 3 points were stolen. I mean, Tammy Abraham has been the Grinch for us, and I mean, he's looking like that's his first goal against the top 6 side, I believe. He's looking like he wants to become Arsenal's Jogba, so let's see how that develops. And Tammy Abraham's become a very decent footballer and has made me eat a lot of humble pie, but it is what it is. You got to give Chelsea praise. I felt they kind of woke up after 35 minutes. I feel Jorginho should have been sent off, but his substitution kind of made a difference because they were getting slaughtered in the first half. Tomori had a poor game, and not just him, quite a lot of man. Chelsea were just toothless, just weren't at it. But the changes made the difference. The warning signs were there in the last 20 minutes, 10, 20 in the first half. Evidently through the second half, it looked like they were going to get a goal, and they did just that. And for us, there were some positives. There was tenacity, there was commitment, there was fighting, there was, like, Aubameyang. I can't speak any highly of Aubameyang today, man. There's been games he scored more goals, but he's not played better than today, because forget his goals, he put in a shift defensively. I couldn't ask more. Based on largely, I couldn't ask for more. There were some positives. Everything I was saying pre-game, start in the best way, and all these things they've shown me. The only negative I'll say is that I'm sitting here, and like I wanted to say, how we played is what I wanted to see, but I wanted it to come 90 minutes. Obviously in the game I wanted to win, but come 90 minutes, I wanted it to be a thing along the lines of we've lost to the better men, Willian or them and there made something happen. Instead, it's 2 cheap goals that we invented. Don't get twisted, Chelsea were knocking on the door, but the first, again, Chelsea, the goal was coming because in that period they were getting on top of us, like you saw. Leno, I don't know what he's doing. Jorginho shouldn't be on the pitch. The ref was terrible in several incidences. How Zuma didn't get a yellow card today is magnificent. For both teams as well. Like, I'm seeing both teams go up to the ref and doing this yellow card business, and the ref just didn't get any real authority in the game for me. Not that anyone was really moving mad. We let ourselves down. We got hit on the counter more or less. 3v2 for the second goal. And it's just poor collective play from us to allow that goal to go in, to be fair with you, man. Like, yeah, Tammy scores his goal, but it is what it is. Now, first half, we started well. Now, people will focus, and maybe they would have focused more on this if Chelsea lost, but Chelsea did, I don't know what they were on. I don't know if it's a bit of the form, kind of patchy form, if it's low on confidence, if it's just being sluggish. They just weren't at it. We were passing rings around them. You know you've been terrible, you're starting a game terrible if Arsenal is starting on the front foot against you, because we are the masters of that. But we're zipping it around. Listen, Reece Nelson, big up Reece Nelson, because people were on his back last game. He's a young player. He's got to accept the constructive criticism, but he played well today, and it was lovely to see him confident, taking people on. He looked like he was going to make something happen. Aubameyang obviously scored, but Aubameyang for me was also superb. Maitland-Niles, I don't know what's ticked for him. Maybe he's put the star dog down, but he had a good game at fullback as well. On a large scale of things, I couldn't ask for anything more in that first half. We were on top of them. We was doing our thing. You just want us to take our chances, and we did exactly that. Now, I was annoyed Sky Sports didn't show it, but we're building out from the back superbly. We're playing it forward. Ozil is doing flicks and dummies and all these things. Ozil's moving mad, tracking man down. We're moving mad, innit? It's looking wavy as an Arsenal fan. You're almost thinking it's too good to be true. Arguably, it was in hindsight, but we're moving mad. The goal comes, lovely move for the corner that actually led to the goal from Leno all the way to the opposition. I think technically Aubameyang technically wins the corner, and obviously it's a lovely ball from Ozil. Sadly, Chambers is injured and we hope the best for him. But Chambers had a decent game and has been in good form. He keeps it alive from the set piece. Aubameyang's there to finish, and they said Aubameyang doesn't score in big games or against big teams. I guess they might be right. Chelsea fans, I've got to do it. You've got to allow me that one. You lot have taken the candy from, if I'm a child, it's my mum has bought me new sweets and you lot, I haven't even opened it and you lot have taken all of them. Like, do you get it? You lot have really done a madness today. Fair play. But we're looking alright, and Chelsea, if I'm Lampard, I'm livid because Arsenal are playing well and Arsenal are doing their thing, and definitely myself included. Nobody expected Arsenal to move as good as they are, but Chelsea are moving appalling. Like, they're sluggish, they're slow, 5-yard passes, they can't get out. It's moving a bit mad. I did think towards the latter stages of the second half, though, they were getting half chances. They were beginning to get into the game and whatnot, and there was a couple of chances they could have done better, and I'm sure Zuma had one chance he should have taken advantage of people. I could be wrong on that. But I'm sure Zuma did. Either way, he doesn't. So there was a couple half chances. And for me, I tweeted it. Half-time team talk for both teams is essential. Obviously, the way Chelsea were playing, people would have focused on that. But for us, it's vital. Because it's another game where, really, if we really scrutinise it, we didn't create that many. We got forward well and stuff. But again, it's another case of quality of chances. How many times did we really test Kepa? Obviously, the way Chelsea was playing in the first half, you got to smell blood and kind of get 2-3 against them because of exactly what happened in the second. And more importantly, you've got to keep this momentum up. But beyond that, from midfield to keeper to strikers and whatnot at this point, everybody's putting in the shift. Everybody's pressing well. It looks like we've really worked on some sort of shape and we're sticking to it. So they're trusting in Arteta's process. Everything we called for, like minimum requirements, effort, rising to the occasion, we're doing it. But it's about going in the second half with that. And if I'm the Chelsea lad, again, you sit here, as poor as Chelsea are, it's only 1-0. Arsenal haven't taken their chances. Fix up and you can get something out of the game. And I think I wrote down the possession stats at half-time, people. Chelsea actually had 50... My handwriting is poor. Not even I can read that. But I think they had 53% to our 47%. We had 268 passes. They actually had more passes in 298. So technically, they've had more possession. There's not really any relevance to that point other than my perception of the game. I felt we were controlling it, we was doing our thing, and I don't know how much of that is skewed by when Jorginho came on and whatnot, but that shows you it's 1-0. You're kind of in possession, you're kind of in it in terms of possession and passes. If they have access to this data at that moment at halftime, which I believe they do, this kind of backs up that they're not completely out of this game. You lot are letting Arsenal in because you're playing poor. That's what I'm saying. For Arsenal, obviously, if you're Arteta, it's a good start, but we've got to be ruthless. 1-0, especially when you're Arsenal. If we're going to have any success this season, we're going to have to outscore teams. Because defending wins titles. We've got to improve our outlook on how we defend. But individual mistakes are always going to be there. So we've got to smell blood. Chelsea are there for the taking. And if we're harsh, we haven't really created any meaningful chances. I know the corner, well, Aubameyang earned the corner from a technically wide position, and that was a good bit of play, but it's another set piece. I think we've scored a league high of 7 set pieces, goals from 7 set pieces this season, people. So we haven't really tested Leno and whatnot. We're playing well, we're getting in the opposition's third. It's definitely a more confident performance from an Arsenal perspective, but we're not killing the game. And for me, it's also important when our legs begin to tire and players are tired, can they keep this up? Because if we want to play with this aggression and tenacity, our stamina levels have to be there. We need to kind of, obviously within reason, have to be there in the first minute and the last. I don't necessarily feel I saw that collectively this throughout, I was about to say this season, but this game. But second half, what more is there to say? I think we slipped into old habits. I feel Chelsea woke up, they started to play football, and the long story short of the second half is that we knocked the ball around well, but I think Chelsea dominated the second half. I think we struggled to get out. I think we let our nerves and the fact that Chelsea can score and we might not get 3 points and the fear of all our hard work being undone kind of tell. I think we kind of dropped off a level in the second half. We weren't poor, but I just didn't see the same zip and whatnot. And it did look like Chelsea would eventually score. They were breaching people. They were breaching and getting through, and it looked like it would happen. Obviously, it's rather cheap circumstances how they scored. I'm going to watch and review the build-up to both goals again. I'm pretty sure there's an unnecessary foul from us there. And before I carry on, the ref, obviously, Jorginho potentially shouldn't have been on that pitch. He doesn't score. I don't want to talk about ifs and buts. Joe had a good chance. So did Lacazette as well. I don't want to nitpick at these things, but Obviously, it's a set piece. Leno's come out. For me, I'm not going to lie, Leno has kind of made me eat my words this season, and Leno is a top keeper. He's a good keeper. But in an ideal world, similar to Bellerin, truthfully, people, if we was in a more of a healthier state as a football club where we could defend, we had strikers, we had defenders, everything was working, and we was a consistent club in some aspects, I'm not going to lie, people, for me, I wouldn't have Leno in guard. Look at Leno. He's a good keeper. We've got a lot more problems to fix, and Leno's done his thing, and I'm a big Leno fan. He's just not my cup of tea because he does have this thing in him. Since the start of last season, he's statistically done this about 7 times. He's been in good form, but my point is that and it's not just, there's people that make these mistakes more often than him, so it's not a criticism of him, but you just can't keep having people that are going to make individual mistakes. But Leno's been in good form. He's been good up until this point. He's not the reason we've lost this game because, again, game management in the second half and how you take chances aren't on Leno. Leno's, he's done all right in this game, especially playing out from the back. But he's in no man's land for that first goal. It's an easy goal for Jorginho. I did believe it was offside in real time. It's not offside. Obviously, I was praying with everything, crossing every toe that VAR shake them like it always does us. It wasn't meant to be. And like I said, I feel Chelsea deserved that because they've woken up, they've upped their levels. Did think we had numerous chances to do better in possession and have more shots at Kepa, of course. But again, while there's a lot of positives, it's game management. We did look like we were going to get a bit nervous, and again, we've got some inexperienced kids on the field and experienced players that make bad habits. It's about being sensible. For the second goal, we're not being sensible. We're in the last 10 minutes of the game. Everybody's flying forward, more or less. And I felt Guendouzi should have come off for Joe Willock, to be fair with you. We're in no man's land. We're getting overrun in midfield because of tired legs, in my opinion. And I felt Guendouzi should have come off. They counter-attack us. Tammy Abraham eventually scores. It's literally felt like it was a minute between the 2 goals. Obviously it wasn't, but we've been sucker punched. And like I said, there was a lot of positives. Tactically we was decent. We was, trying to recover the ball quickly. We was doing all these positive things, but game management, not conceding cheap goals and making the right decisions are where we went wrong and where we need to start going right, people. So we probably did deserve to get something out of the game, but football is cruel, and I'd say to that, we can say if Jorginho came on, if we took these chances, if that, and I agree with some of these ifs and buts, but the facts are we did not build upon our early lead beyond just having a confident display. We didn't test or score against Kepa, and it went down the toilet a bit in the second half. We started creeping into old habits defensively and stuff. Obviously, there are some positives. We just have to focus on them. We know the negatives at this club, but the positives evidently were there was a game plan. They bought into it. We was passing forward. It was just a committed performance in that first half. There's still a long way to go. And it brings me back to my point is Arteta, from the moment he came in, you can see what he wants to do with this team. But this is where it comes down to Raul Sanllehi, Edu, and the people that are ironically at the stadium today to help him. Because, again, I'm not saying Leno don't do this every week, but with the rare occasion from Leno, it's a centre-half or a midfielder or someone doing this every week. How much of that is Arteta able to out-coach out of them? And how much is it just a case of backing him with proper reinforcements? I don't care if it's a high-profile centre-half, of course I'd love that, or a 2.5 million man that scouts have done their job, but we need a centre-half generally. This today, let's be honest, Chambers, sadly injured, done all right. Thought Mustafi could have done better for one of the goals, but he was okay by what I thought he was going to do. Luiz was quite calm today. I feel Maitland-Niles was very good. Saka, in a position that's not his by trade, did his thing. Torreira, superb. Mesut Ozil, quality. And to potentially, that's one criticism of Arteta, really. Just because I felt Guendouzi, I don't know, I back Arteta, so I'm not going to harp on about this, but I think Joe should have come on for Guendouzi because I feel we needed some energy in that pivot. It was just Torreira by himself, and I think Ozil was getting tired, but he's flicking the ball, he's giving us something in possession, and I feel when Chelsea were coming on to us even more by their own standards, we lost players that are technically good at games, and I've seen Emre go wrong with taking these sort of men off. Again, in similar way that I said, it's not Leno's singular reason as to why we lost. It's not as white and black as Ozil came off and this is what happened, but I do think that contributed some point because we began to lose a bit of what we had in our game. Joe Willock did look a bit like a headless chicken out there. I didn't really see what he was instructed to do. He did okay, but I didn't really get it, really. And again, Joe needs to improve his finishing because he had a sit up. But again, that's not the reason we lost. We lost because of old habits. There are some positives. Ultimately, the only positives really are Chelsea fans and the 3 points. And it's another day. I'm not watching Match of the Day, but what can we do but lick our wounds? We know these are the things we're going to go through, and it would have been lovely. Got 3 points, go into that United game full of confidence, yada, yada, yada. But an Arsenal fan, in an Arsenal fan's life, it's not that simple. And we end the year as we ended it last year with defeat. We go again against United. Hopefully that's something more positive. On that note, there's not really anything more to say apart from people. Thank you for watching and rocking each and every time. Deluded. I'm out.